So this is my master class 28 triple strike. So these are a couple cards that, you know, have triple strike or can gain triple strike. Mainly these all just have triple strike. The only one that's pseudo triple strike is Piccolo Jr. because he has an ability that when your opponent has 3 or more life, you can burn them from 1. So if your opponent has 3 life, you burn them from 1, which brings them down to 2 life, and he has double strike, so you can, you know, obviously deal him the final damage. So essentially, it's triple strike in the way it functions, more so than the actual keyword skill of triple strike. Triple attack can also count as a triple strike, you know, because you get 3 attacks off of 1 battle card, and if all 3 attacks hit, then that's 3 damage, right? The main goal is you want to deal 3 damage, but it's much simpler to do 3 damage from with 1 attack, or you want to simplify it that way. You want it where you just attack once and there's 3 damage, as opposed to trying to, instead of trying to attack 3 times to try to get all 3 damage to go through, you want just 1 triple strike damage to go through at any given time. Especially if your opponent has 3 life left, you want just 1 of your triple strike attacks to go through. So if you can play multiple battle cards with triple strike and 1 of them go through, then that's good. There's some battle cards that have double strike and dual attack, which kind of makes them like quadruple strike in a way, because if both attacks go through, then that's 4 damage, because, you know, each attack is double strike. Attacking something that has attacking with something with dual attack, like, right, you attack the first attack, that attack goes through, then you attack your second attack, then double strike that, right? Use like a Champa Eastspring Kai or some effect that gives double strike, and then do 2 more damage, so 3, so that way it'd be 3 damage. The main goal is you want to deal 3 damage, because dealing 3 damage 3 times, which is 9 damage, is better, mathematically anyway, right, than doing 2 damage 4 times. Because we know 4 damage 2 times is better than 3 damage 3 times, and, you know, so far and so forth. But, and it's definitely all these options so far, especially quadruple strike, triple strike, and double strikes, way better than 8 single strike. So the way we started off the game was with single strike, right? Swing with the leader, swing with 1 battle card, and try to do 1 damage with each attack. Now we're trying to get to, you know, then we have, you know, we evolved up to double strike, dual attack, you know, and so forth, and triple strike. So imagine your whole entire deck just a whole bunch of triple strikes. Everything in your deck, you know, your leader, your unisons, your battle cards, all have triple strike. Let's say you had a card that, like an extra card, or if they make a Champa, for example, that you can combo and give something triple strike, that'd be pretty badass, right? So the idea of just trying to deal more damage, you know, damage output, right? So being able to deal more damage from a single action is obviously mathematically better and more efficient, you know, right? And especially if you're a competitive player, you want to be as efficient as possible. So I personally would expect to see more competitive players trying to incorporate as much triple strike into a single deck as much as possible. That to me is competitive. If you're not doing that, I don't really consider what you're doing competitive. You're just playing basic Dragon Ball, right? Because casual players will either won't have anything in their deck with triple strike, or if they do have something with triple strike, it's probably like their SCR or something, right? Their ultimate, you know, or maybe they have something like quadruple strike. Like they might have a Cell Zeno. Like the only thing that deals a lot of damage will probably be the Cell Zeno that they own, and then that's about it. But the rest of the deck is just everything only does 1 damage, and it's like, that's slow. That's gonna take a while. You're gonna have to do 8 individual attacks with a deck like that. So, you know, especially as a deck builder myself, I'm not just a deck builder, obviously I'm a player, but logically I would want to do more damage. I mean, if they start making quadruple strike, they have low costs. Well, that's another thing I forgot to mention, is not only doing 3 damage, you know, which is a lot of damage, lowering the cost of triple strike, because on average triple strikes tend to be 5 costs and above. You know, it tends to be something pretty special for like high cost cards. You know, when I mean high cost, I mean when you pay high energy for them, and you rather not. You would like to do a turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 type of triple strike play. The sooner you get it out there, the better. You know, that's why stuff like playing a turn 2 or even turn 3 Cell Zeno is impressive, or even a turn 2 victory strike is impressive, because of the idea that you're getting really early in the game, really early, you know, as soon as the game starts, a really powerful win condition, a very powerful ability to do a lot of damage real quick, just like bang. That's why I do the decks with the X combo strategy, where turn 1 I'm trying to output 8 damage, but that's not from one single attack, that's from multiple attacks, right? Multiple battle cards being played. More often than not, obviously they're free play, and just swinging for a lot of double strike here, you know, single strike there, and just trying to do as much damage as possible to add up to 8 damage. But it'd be nicer to go to play 1 card, right? Swing with that 1 card, and then that 1 card does more than enough damage for you to win, like victory strike, or it has quadruple strike and dual attack, so it can do 4 damage 2 times, you know, that kind of stuff. If you have something that has triple strike with triple attack, so it can attack 3 times, then that's 9 potential damage right there, and that's obviously awesome. So the ability to put triple strikes into your deck, because you want to try to get them out early, low cost. 4 or less is low cost, because the game shouldn't go past turn 4. Turn 1, turn 2 is the turns in which, especially well, I'll say your opponent. This applies to you too, but your opponent, you know, when your opponent is, you know, turn 1, turn 2, your opponent is most vulnerable within those 2 turns than after that, because turn 3, 4, you know, and beyond, they're not as vulnerable. They can defend a whole lot better and a whole lot longer. That's what she said, right? Within those turns. So you want to do as much damage as soon as possible, which is why I try to do like 4 to 6 damage within the first 2 turns. Typically 4, you know, because that's almost pretty much any deck can basically do 2 damage turn 1, 2 damage turn 2, right? Which is 4. That's pretty simple on just the first 2 turns. Then turn 3 you try to do 2 more, and then turn 4 you should just be going for game, which is the killing blow, which is your opponent has 2 life. You're gonna use some type of strategy, some method, whether it's burn, you know, triple strike, you know, that kind of stuff, or double strike, whatever you can do to deal the last 2 damage, so you can win the game. The thing about incorporating triple strike, the sooner you get it out, like, you know, turn 2 for example, could potentially do a turn 1, but more often than not you'll do a turn 2 triple strike, depending on what you're playing. Heartfelt Plea is the one I mainly think of. Turn 2 will be the soonest. Part of why I'm making this video is to also, you know, not just to showcase some triple strike options that you might consider. Like I use this in a green deck now, so it's like, oh cool, because with Servant it's essentially a 30k triple strike with Deflect, and it's 4 costs. You want every, you know, your triple strike to be 4 or less. I want it to cost 2. This technically, you know, with a Successor is a, you know, is a turn 3 play right here. Heartfelt Plea, if you could do a turn 1, that's great. If not, turn 2 at best. Because depending on the matchup and the situation, if you can get a 25k red battle card on the field, I mean, even if you can get a 15k battle card on the field and then give it 10k boost, so it's 25k red battle card, and be able to awaken, you know, like auto awaken, right? Be able to awaken automatically without having 4 or less life or some other, you know, hard to control awakening. You know, Surge makes it easy. You know, that's an auto awakening. You just you just, you know, trigger the Surge Awakening, and you can easily awaken, and then play Heartfelt Plea, and then now you got a 30k triple strike. And that's another thing. You want your you'll see most of your triple strikes are 25ks, 30ks. So those are obviously the magic numbers, especially if you're playing with triple strikes. Heartfelt Plea, definitely a really good card. You can play in any deck, so this is why he's there as number 1, because you can play him pretty much in any deck. But you do gotta have a red battle card, so that's the thing. If you can splash in red, you good red battle card with 25k power or more. You're pretty good on that. Other than that, typically you will see this like in a red deck, because you know they would have battle cards that are red, obviously. With Dark Mask King, your leader has to be black, and your opponent has to have 3 or more cards in their ward, which is not impossible to do, to have that situation happen. But if your leader card is black, you get the benefit of being able to play this out for 4. Typically you see this will cost 6 to play. King Vegeta, Grade Ape Assault, you can play it as soon as turn 3. If you have 2 of these, you charge 1 for energy, and then you know every turn you charge energy until you get to turn 3, and then you can pay 3 and evolve using 1 from your energy area to play this 1 from your hand, so you can get them out as soon as turn 3. And this is a pretty good card, especially for like a blue deck. All you have to do is put 4 copies of this in your deck, and bang, now you have a 25k triple strike. I've been using him a lot in blue decks because he is easy to play, use, triple strike. You can get him, like I said, you can get him out as soon as turn 3, which is really good. That can help you speed things up real quick. Get closer to getting your opponent down to 1. Because imagine turn 1, turn 2, right? You deal your opponent 4 damage, so their opponent's at 4. Then on turn 3, you drop this swing, hit, and now you bring down your opponent from 4 life to 1 just with 1 attack, right? And that's on turn 3. That way on turn 4, unless you should still have a leader swing, so you still be able to go for game and do anything else to try to finish your opponent off right there and then on turn 3, which will be awesome. But if for some reason your opponent still survive and they have 1 life, at least they're down to 1 life. So on turn 4, you can probably use a card that can burn your opponent for 1 and finish the game, or if this bad boy is still in play, use them, or use something else, or leader swing or something like that, and try to finish your opponent off that way. The most common thing you need to think about and focus on is dealing as much damage as possible. You're trying to get your opponent down to low life. Always focus on that first. Secondarily, your opponent's board. I notice a lot of players tend to focus on their opponent's board first and their life second. I'll literally see matches go to turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, right? And their opponent is still at like 6 or 5 life or something. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you not playing the game right? Because even by turn 4, without doing any actual plays, just swinging with your leader, by turn 4, you should have dealt 4 damage so far. I shouldn't see your opponent still at 6 or 5 life on turn 4. You know what I'm saying? And that confuses me. When I see that, a lot. I'm like, yeah, people aren't playing right. And again, I haven't mentioned this part yet, but of course this should be the obvious part, is they tend to lose because they're in a certain situation where they try to go for game and they can't output enough to take, to deal the opponent 6 to 5 damage, but their opponent, out combos, plays the negates, does something, maybe plays a super combo like a Zamasu super combo, for example, and out combos one attack and taps down another attack, so it just greatly reduces the chances of the opponent being able to go for game. And I've seen that, whereas like somebody would just do some pretty basic attacks. A lot of times they'll waste their attacks on like a battle card or a leader. That's the thing, some people tend to worry about the clapback per se, the idea they're like, oh man, I got KO this battle card because they could use it to attack me next turn. It's like, yeah, they can do that, but if you're doing 4 damage right now on their turn, you can, obviously you should try to figure out how much damage your opponent could possibly do to you on their turn. If your opponent can only do, like, let's say 2 to 3 damage on their turn, because you let them keep that battle card, they're pretty much only can do 2 to 3 damage, but you just did 4. But you have the ability to do 4. I suggest you do the 4. Deal your opponent the 4 damage, and don't worry about that they are going to deal you 2 to 3 damage. It don't matter. You're dealing them more damage than they're dealing you. Sometimes too many people worry about not taking damage, that they don't even deal their own damage. They don't even deal damage. When, remember, it's a numbers game, right? The more damage you deal to your opponent than they do to you, the higher chance you have of winning, because you'll deal them 8 damage before they deal you 8 damage. You see what I'm saying? The sooner you get to hit your opponent for damage, you do it. Hit them hard. That's why I tend to double strike as soon as turn 1. Like, I swing, my opponent goes first, my turn, I draw, play an energy, I swing with my leader. My opponent says no negate, bang, champa. Immediately, just bang, 2 damage right there, right off the bat. I'm not gonna waste that valuable moment not dealing as much damage as I could. Let's say I deal the 2 damage, and then I could play something for free. Or something for 1 energy, like I play, let's say Saiyan Kaba. I play Saiyan Kaba for 1 energy, right? Swing, take a life. Now I'm 15k double strike, swinging at a 10k leader. Bang! I just dealt my opponent 4 damage right there on turn 1. Well, no, I said I chomp it, so I can't do that. But let's say I could just free play something. Let's say they lose red, so then I combo Nappa or something. So now Nappa's on the field, and I swing with Nappa. So at least 3 damage on turn. The point is try to output as much damage as possible. You know what I mean? The ability, just something as simple as that. Just like leader swing, Nappa, Champa, bang, my opponent takes the double strike. Nappa hits the field, swing with Nappa, bang, another attack, another damage, bang, 3 damage, turn 1. Just something as simple as that. It doesn't take a genius to do that. That's a very simple play, and it's a play you definitely should do as soon as turn 1. Because what's your opponent going to do when it's their turn? Maybe they come at you and deal you 4 damage. Whoop-de-doo. Alright, you know what I mean? Good for them, they were able to come back and do 4 damage. But you still dealt them 3 damage first. And then on your turn, if you have the ability to do 4 damage to them, that equals 7, right? 3 plus 4, that's 7. You're only 1 damage away from winning. And if you can stall for 1 more turn, then you win, right? Because as long as you have something like Topo or Violent Rays or Flying Nimbus or something like that, your chances of getting another turn is pretty high. You get another turn and you can swing with everything you got and end the game anyway. So it doesn't matter that your opponent, after you deal them 3, they deal you 4, because you're going to probably deal them 4 or more back anyway. As long as you're always dealing your opponent way more than they deal you, you're always good. Which is why triple strike is awesome. Anything that can give you triple strike, or anything that has triple strike, is definitely something you should look into, incorporate into your deck. There's tons of other triple strike cards. These are just the ones that I noticed that have pretty low cost that you could use. Like I'm using Heartfelt Plea to represent a triple strike for red, and this is triple strike for yellow. Granted, you have to kind of splash a little bit of green, get a little green in there, but since he is multicolor, it won't be that hard for you to charge a copy of him so you can get the green for the successor, and then you could just, so the point is you can splash this into a yellow deck, and bang, you have a triple strike. And then you can splash this into not splash, but you can obviously play this in a green deck. It is a low cost, it's a 4-drop. With Servant, it's a 30k triple strike. So it has a decent effect of killing a unison, or at least removing 3 markers for a unison, so that's decent. And of course, there's a 3-drop. The way you played, it's a 3-drop. Triple strike you can put in blue. This is, you could put this in black. It's essentially 4 costs in the right condition, and this in any red. Well, this only works with a red leader, so as long as your leader is red, you can splash this in, because all you need is at least one copy of this in your energy area in order to be able to play this out in a red deck. Or your deck could be mono green, but your leader could be red, just to guarantee this effect goes off, and then all you have to do is just charge one of these so that we could play this, and, you know, get it out there and get his effect off. So, you know, you want to output as much as possible. In the near future, we might get some easy to play, you know, quadruple strikes. We'll see what Bandai wants to do with that. But for now, you know, triple strike is one of the highest damages you can get out for relatively cheap. And here's some, you know, cheap options that I wanted to just showcase. There are tons of other battle cards with triple strike. Typically you want 30k or higher triple strikers, because that requires you to combo less. You just play them, swing with them, and they pretty much do all the work by themselves. So you gotta love that idea. Doesn't hurt to combo, make them even stronger, you know, 40k, 50k, 60k and above. But you know, 30k triple strikes are always doing what they do best, and that is to deal damage. Not much to say other than you want to be in a position where think about your opponent's 8 life, right? You deal them 3 damage, right? You triple strike them, bang, brings them down to 5. If their leader is the kind that needs to have 4 less life in order to awaken, the fact that you dealt them 3 and they're still at 5, they can't awaken yet, so you're still good. Especially if you're afraid, if you're that type of player that's afraid of your opponent awakening early or just awakening at all, you know, triple striking, right? You know, dealing 3 damage and having them at 5 for a while is beneficial. The next step you want to do after that is, once they're at 5, you want to triple strike again. You don't want to single strike. That'd be lame. You don't want to double strike. You want to triple strike. You want to get in as much damage as possible. Plus, remember, they'll be on the front side, so they'll still be 10k. You want to take advantage of that. So you want to hit them twice while they're still a 10k leader. That way that way you combo less, and you don't have to worry about extra things you might have to deal with. Like, most leaders have defensive effects on their awakened side as opposed to their front side. So you want to deal them triple strike damage, you know, twice before they awaken, right? You want that your second triple strike attack is why they can awaken, but since you already dealt them the damage and now they're down to 2 life, right? Whatever abilities their leader has that they could have used defensively, now it's pointless, because you know you already dealt the damage. You know, you always have to remember that your main goal is to deal damage. Everything else is after that. Effects, you know, card interactions, all that stuff comes secondary to damage output. So you're always focused on damage output. I mean, it's been working for me for a couple of years. You know, I haven't been in any situation where I didn't need to do damage. There's times where I was, you know, I've done some gameplays where, even in the footage, you know, in the gameplay, I point out this, like, yeah, I could have done this, I could have done that to clear, you know, to clear my opponent's board and stuff like that. But it was better for me to deal them damage than to clear their board. And well, I wasn't wrong. It was better to do damage, because when I ended up in a situation where it's like, all right, here's the moment for me to try to go for game, and then I went for game and I had game, and it was easier because my opponent was already so low on life that, you know, once one of my attacks went through, it was more than enough to win me the game. If I was trying to play it safe, right, as some people call it, play safe, and, you know, focus on my opponent's board and took down their you know, their battle cards or whatever they had on their board, or unison or whatever. If I focus my attacks and my efforts on their board, once I was at that turn or point where, you know, I want to go for game, but I can't because my opponent has so much life that I won't be able to end them out there. That puts me in a bad position, and I want to be in a position where, you know, I could go for game, but I can't because, you know, my opponent's defense is pretty high now, or, you know, or just my opponent has too much life that I can't end them out. But to reduce that, of course, that's where the triple strike, double strikes come into play. This video is mainly about triple strike. You want to get them out as soon as possible. If you want to, you know, because this will give you a strategy where you can deliberately not deal your opponent any damage until you get at least 2 triple strikes out real quick. That way you can attack back to back, right? Have consecutive attacks. They don't have to be in the same turn. You could play one on one turn, and then next turn play another one, or play one, swing with it, then wait until you can swing with it again, and then after that do whatever else you want to do, because you want to make sure you get 2 triple strike attacks in first. So the only time you deal your opponent leader damage is just the 2 triple strikes, and then after that, whatever else you want to do, leader swing, unison swing, whatever, overwhelm play, whatever you want to do to finish the game is up to you. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad strategy, obviously. If you can pull it off, so be it. I tend to I tend to be a little impatient. I don't want to wait too long to do damage. Like I said, Heartfelt Plea, you could do turn 1, turn 2, potentially. Piccolo, you know, obviously turn 2 is as soon as you can get him out and start doing it. So these 2 right here, you could get them out as soon as turn 2 and start triple striking your opponent essentially every turn for the first 2 turns. That way by turn 4, your opponent, you should just be going for game. Most of these other ones are turn 3s, turn 4s. So we got some 3s, some 4s, and 2s. These 2 right here, you see them a lot, and no surprise since you can get them out as soon as turn 2. But there are other options that I wanted to point out. And that'll be the end of this video.